Ian, nice to meet you. This is Anton. He's in the 4th grade in Wood Acres Elementary School. This is Elena. She's in the 2nd grade.
Okay, do you know anything about Shakespeare?
Yes. I know Romeo and Juliet. I know.
What about the stuff that we were watching yesterday? That was Titanus. It was horrible.
I don't even want to know what the name is. It was lots of murders, lots of lost bodies.
Yeah, sometimes Shakespeare can be like that. There's a lot of murders that go on. The comedies not, but like the history ones and the tragedies, especially the tragedies.
Yeah, I like the tragedies.
Sometimes if the deaths are a little bit too bloody, they can be hard to watch. We know that. So this is a library, and you receive visitors like you. When people come in, we tell them what this library is about. Sometimes people want to be shown things, and so do you want to see the library part?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll come this way.
He was sitting out under the tree with his son. Ask him if the gift shop was
So I'll tell you about the library. I'll tell you about who we are. Like for the kids, for example, we can show you some stuff to do while your parents are looking at other stuff. Or we'll show you where our researchers work.
How did you come up with this position? How did you end
I
up?
just volunteered, so I'm a volunteer. Okay, so this is half of what I do. It's just talk to visitors. The other half is I work with kids. I work with kids on the stage.
On the stage?
Yeah, we have a theater, and so we work
Here?
with schools. Yeah.
Oh.
Right now there's a musical consort that they're rehearsing because they're going to start playing on Saturday. And so they've closed the theater. Otherwise I could take you in the theater and show you.
Oh, can we sneak a peek?
We'll see what the guard says over there. But so this is where our scholars work.
Scholars are people who study Shakespeare, right?
Research. Let's go take a look. So don't worry, the door's locked, so you can't go in. But this is where our researchers will work, and we can't take people in there because obviously they're trying to concentrate.
Mm-hmm. So are they staff of the library?
No, we call them readers. They're just researchers that apply to use our material, and they can be researching anything. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. What? Yeah, it is very fun because this is the largest Shakespeare collection in the world. We have about 250,000 books. And you know where the books are? They're underneath. No, underneath you. Those books you see there are just like dictionaries, encyclopedias, things that you look up.
I thought that was... So you can like actually take them out.
Right, so those ones are not important. The really important one, stuff that's 400 years old, 500 years old, is underneath you. There are 3 floors underneath. Like these books that we've got up, these are really old books. Okay? So sometimes if you want to research what was going on 300, 400 years ago, you have to look at what people were writing, and they've got very old books. And so you can come here and we will get the books out for you. But you have to stay there because the books are very valuable. Like if you were to steal one of these books, you make a lot of money. Or we don't want you to be damaged also because they're very old. So you have to be very careful how you use the books.
So what is your daily job like? What do you do here as a...
We do 2 things on the desk. We just either do what I'm doing now, or we do tours as well. So we'll have certain times of the day where we'll do a tour of the building.
I have a question.
You have as many as you want.
So is this like where the volunteers work, or is that like the main desk where they ask if they're trying?
Right, those people are not volunteers, they're librarians, because then you have to study and you have to be an experienced librarian. Okay, so
that makes sense why she was sitting.
Right, so she gets paid a salary. I don't get paid a salary. I do it because I love doing it, and because I love talking to you guys. And because sometimes when we do tours, it's just fun. We have we have a fun conversation, and we tell you Shakespeare, we teach you a little bit, and we laugh a lot because Shakespeare was a very funny guy.
I want to be a librarian.
It would be a great thing to do. Then we have people that know how to fix old paper, because if it's an old book, it's very kind of precious. Think about something that's 400 years old, just pieces of paper.
Yeah,
so
it's like really precious because...
Did you know that that's part of librarians' job? Librarians also have to fix books, not just give them out and keep track of inventory, but they also have to be doctors of the books too.
Yeah, so sometimes if a book if the page is breaking, for example, you have to know how to fix it.
glue or tape it?
We do some stuff that's very cool. Like in the old days, paper was very thick. Today, papers can be very thin. In the old days, it was thick. Then, you know, the technology has improved so much. So we have Our curators, that's what they call, or the book scientists, they can split a page in half, and then they will put some very thin Japanese rice paper in the middle and stick it back again together.
Amazing.
Okay? But we can do that because the paper is very thick. If the paper is very thin, we can't.
Same as toilet paper.
Yeah, toilet paper you couldn't do that because that's very thin paper, right?
But sometimes it splits kind of on its own a little bit.
If it's 2 layers, it can split on its own. So we have to know how to do that. Sometimes some of the paper is damaged with water or liquids. You have to know how to fix it. And also they have to know how much light a book can take. You see why you hear it's so dark in here? That's because these books cannot take more light, because light is really what destroys the book. Light is very bad for paper. It's like, you know, like a person, if you get a really bad suntan because you're lying out on the beach too long, that's what happens to paper. Hello, you guys. You're not together, right?
No, but now we are.
Come along. Come and take a look. We'll take you around and show you a bit. This is where scholars work. So
I repaired the elevator in here
you
years
repaired the
ago.
elevator.
Yes.
This is a very important man.
Yep, this was
a very critical man.
I just became an elevator mechanic, and it was my first job that I ever did.
Oh, that's so
We're actually here for Take Kids to Work Day,
Yes,
and
that's what
we're trying to see different professions. So it's interesting.
Yep. So I'm the elevator assistant supervisor in the library.
You can include him into this.
That's exactly what I'm doing right now.
So
Yeah, very
our
cool.
collection, we would just explain, our collection is underneath here. There are 3 floors. We're not like a normal library, but we just don't have books. We have lots of other stuff. We have theater costumes, we have paintings, we have film, we have musical instruments, we have theater props. And so it's not just a regular library where you go in and you say, pick up a book. We also have manuscripts, so letters, all kinds of stuff. So if you want to research stuff that was going on like 400, 500 years ago, you can come here and you'll sit inside there because some of the stuff is very valuable, and we'll bring it up for you from underneath you.
Can we see some of the manuscripts?
What you see here is part of our collection. Okay, so everything that we have here today we brought up from underneath.
Very cool.
And so these are very, very old books. I'm going to show you a couple that's kind of real fun. This one's kind of fun. So we try to explain to people what happens. You know, the printing press is the big technological innovation. Right? That's where all our lives change, because now we can have lots of books and it can be done very quickly. But also we start to innovate with our ability to do drawings, to do images and color. And so what we're trying to show you here is what happens when you can match the 2 things. And this one is a very cool book. This is a book that would have been for like a medical student or a doctor. You got these little bottles, they're called vials. You know what's in the bottles? Pee.
Oh my gosh.
Pee, yes, urine. Why? Because for thousands of years, people that were doctors thought that they could tell what's wrong with you if you're not feeling well by looking at the color of your urine, of your pee.
So there was blue
Still
pea?
think that.
They still think, yes, of course. I mean, there was a scientific basis for it, except people didn't try to figure out more or less the guess. And so this is an attempt to teach you. So if you see somebody's pee of a particular color, he's probably suffering from this type of illness. Yeah, you. Well, no, but that's the point, you see, because if your pee is not yellow, if like, do you see those the last 2 little bottles?
Yeah.
If your pee is looking, I'm sorry to be talking about pee, but if your urine is coming out that color, it means you are a very sick person, because it should be yellow. But if it's like darker yellow, it's a little bit greenish, so this is a textbook for a medical student that's trying to learn, and they say, oh, if it's this color, then this person is sick from this.
So the reason that it's also important is to show that old books have the pigmentation.
Yeah, the problem with this is that the ability to do different shades of color hasn't progressed very much. And so if you see the 4 vials on the left and the 4 vials on the top right, this is what the kind of, you're always going to, more or less always going to be looking at different shades of yellow. But the 4 and the 4 on the other side, they all look the same. So the idea is fabulous, right? What a great idea to combine our ability to illustrate and to write words and to help a doctor, but then the technology for colors hasn't caught up yet with the idea.
So maybe one of the professions is the chemists, right? Who are making the pigments.
So these guys are the ones that are starting to figure out how to make different colors. Like, you know, if you're going to paint a room, you go to a paint shop, and they give you all these little colors that you can choose. There are like 20 different white colors, right? And so this is this is very early kind of the colors, people telling you what colors we have. And you see different reds and different greens and different pinks. The problem is that you're getting a lot of colors, but they can't think up of names to call them. So when they sell you this book, they sell it with empty boxes, so you can call it whatever you want. Because I got tired of trying to invent names for the colors.
Love, that's
so
red.
I've got the colors, I just don't know what to call them. Right? If you've got like 10 different pinks, at some point you're going to run out of names for the pinks.
Red, pink.
You got red pink, Georgia pink, I don't know, blushing pink. You know, at some point you can just simply you know what? Just you call it whatever you want. And let me show you one that's really, really cool.
So would we be so lucky to see an elevator in work?
Okay, you know, people, when we talk about people a long time ago, like 200, 300, 400 years ago, we're always talking like seriously about them because we're trying to explain a war or a king or some like big disaster. Yeah, or something important that was discovered or a new idea, right? But people 400 years ago were also incredibly funny. Like they laugh like you and I do. And they had a great sense of humor. And this is a wonderful example. Okay, this one's called The World Upside Down. Everything here is kind of wrong, but very, very wrong, completely. If you took something and turned it completely upside down. The first one you can see is really easy, right? You can see why the first one is wrong. Because they're pushing the cart, right? They should be pulling. The second one takes a little bit more work. This is like a donkey or a mule or a horse. And the donkey or mule or horse is giving the barber a shampoo. And then the next one, he's giving the barber a haircut. That can't possibly be right? So it's complete. This is my favorite. You see the little boy is punishing his dad. He's got his pants down.
You wish. You wish.
You wish, right? Wouldn't that be fun? Look at this one. This one is a fish fishing, and the fish is called a bird.
Oh my God.
So some of them you have to like try to. It takes a bit of work to figure them out why they're wrong. Right? And some of them because they were wrong for people in the old ages.
And I could tell that the maps weren't as accurate.
Right, yeah, but they didn't know exactly. Remember, they can't fly over, so they have to try to figure it. Here, see, there's the hunter and the deer are having, it's like the deers are celebrating after the hunt. These are women soldiers in those days, they didn't have women soldiers. So each one is kind of like, wait a minute, that can't be right. See,
How
this
is
one
that
is,
supposed to be wrong?
I think because he's like sowing seeds. You know when like if at home, if you need to put seeds for your grass, or like a farmer has to put seeds on the ground? Yeah, you know that, right? He's doing it on the water.
No,
This one, because he is the rich person just the way he's dressed, he's like an important person. And he is the poorer man. He's the one that should be sort of clearing the land and being the farmer.
How could you, if you were a librarian, how could you understand the writing that they were writing?
Well, this is what the scholars would need to figure out here, because it got little words there. I went because I thought I had to explain it to kids like you or adults like your parents, and I said, I wonder what these words say, and I couldn't find the meaning because it's in Italian, that I can tell, but it's a sort of very old Italian. And so when I went to Google Translate, it got Google Translate very confused. It looked like nonsense. So like if I really wanted to understand this, I would have to go to an expert or a scholar who would help me then say, oh,
So those scholars are very weird. There are like 10 of them.
Like
or
70 or
20
80
of them.
person that knows Italian.
yeah, so they would be, maybe they could be people from Italy. Like you, there are people here in America or in England that understand very old English. And so I would go to one of them. Yeah, I would go to them and say, hey, what does this mean? And they would help me. And then I would understand what it is. Cool?
But dictionaries won't help because they're in Italian too.
Right, so that's why, today we don't use dictionaries, we go to Google Translate. And so I figured, oh, I'm so smart, I'll just go to Google Translate and figure out what it says. And Google Translate was very confused. So Google Translate was translating like the way Italians speak today. But this is about 400 years ago, and the Italians spoke differently. Sorry.
So it seems like a very interesting aspect of how the profession changes over time is because, in your profession, Google Translate wasn't available.
Exactly. So, like 50, before Google, I would have had to find different ways. I mean, I would have probably trying to use the telephone, call somebody in Italy, And they would say, yes, we can find you something. Here, when you guys want to research something, what do? My son used to say, every time I ask a question, I want to know what this is about that. He said, Dad, Google it. Right? That's what you guys do.
Ask Uncle Google.
Well, but sometimes you can't
Well,
Google it.
if I'm in a car, I can Google it, but if I'm
Yeah,
in
when I
school,
was a kid, we couldn't Google. We had to go to the library and look it
Exactly.
up. So we had to use
Exactly.
magazines
School-
and books and
if I'm in school or
periodicals.
someone that has books, I'm going to try to find books.
Yeah. Now the librarian's job has also changed, because when we had to go in, we'd go and talk to the librarian. The librarian says, what is it that you're looking for? And they would help us and say, well, you could try this, or you could try that. Today, we started first with Googling. Right, so the librarian also has to know about Google. They has to know what is available, how does Google search for things, because Google may be making a mistake or maybe pushing you in a direction and that's not the way you want to go. So the librarian's job is also very different. And the librarian now also has to digitize, know how to digitize stuff. Because all the books that we have here, you expect to find it digital, you expect to go online and say, hey, where's that book? Right? So you need to figure out how to digitize it, how to put it in an electronic format. So when you go on your computer, you bring out the book.
Like maybe in like 100, 300 years, the language will be gone, absolutely gone. And then how do we
You
find
guys,
it
it's
again?
your fault, because you guys are changing the language. You're inventing expressions that we didn't know existed, right? And we have a little book of Shakespeare that's written all in emojis.
Horrible.
No, it's not horrible.
It's horrible.
Tell her it's not horrible.
It's not horrible, it's
It's
the
not
best
horrible.
thing ever.
It's
Kind of
changing. That's what happens with English. It's alive. It changes, and you guys are changing it. Yeah, I'll show you two in a
Wait,
minute.
kids are changing it?
Yes, because the way you communicate when you send a text message.
We're changing it in the future. Not
Listen,
right, or
I'll give you an example. Right, when my son is
Like
Elena, don't interrupt.
no, that's okay.
like I, heart, and then
Yes,
feel.
yeah,
You, not like
yeah.
wild you.
Yeah, when my son was at home and I would go into his room and using his computer, and one time I saw him and he typed POS. And I thought, man, we had a very good, my son was a good voice. I wasn't trying to spy him. And I said, by the way, Nick, I said, why did, at the moment I walked in, why did you write POS? Oh, Dad, he said, that means parent over shoulder. It means my parents just behind me, so don't write anything silly or anything that my parents shouldn't see. Right, those is all of a sudden LOL. You know LOL, right? Yeah. Do you know what I thought it meant for a long time? Lots of love. Until my son told me, no, that's not what it means. So you're using, think about it, you're using a new language. That's a new word. If I say to you LOL, at first I didn't know what LOL meant. It's like you could have given me a word in German, I wouldn't have known what it meant. So that's a new language that you guys are developing. Okay?
But
And it's
there
okay.
should be like-
Trust me, it's okay.
But there should be like every time that there's a new language, there should be a could translate between these like
Every time I don't understand something, I go and ask a young person. I say, what does that mean? Okay, why are you saying it? What's that expression?
so we should like
I'll give you another example. Some people would say, for example, I can't even, and stop. Something is so outrageous, you can't even. The first time I heard it, I said, that doesn't make sense, you can't even what? Right? And that's where they stop. So these are ways in which you're using the language very creatively. And we, all people, need to try to catch up with you guys.
It's almost a form of shorthand that people use.
Yes. A lot of the times when you text, for example, you stop using vowels. When you say, I'm going to text you, you write TXT. Okay, so one of the things that's probably going to happen with the language is the vowels are going to disappear. Or we'll start using less of them. If I say you too, I write a U and a 2. That's part of the language. That is now an expression, and we have to accept it. We may not like it, but it's happening because you don't care whether we like it or not. You're going to use it anyway.
easier.
And you're still communicating what you're
Language
saying.
is always about communicating. Okay.
It's so hard. But in school, they're still making this pretty normal language.
The reason for that is that sometimes you have to communicate some more difficult ideas that require the full array of words. If I just need to say see you later, I can write see you LTR. I don't need a very complicated sentence, but if I have to describe something to you like a beautiful painting, I need a lot more words and a lot more complicated sentences so that you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so that's why you still need the full language. Okay, show you another cool one. So this is the other thing that we have here. This is Shakespeare's first folio. So it's the first time that all of Shakespeare's plays get printed in one book. And this is about 7 years after